Hello and welcome to the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from 104.9. I'm Paul Kretschmer. On today and tomorrow's broadcast, we'll be examining the situation that happened on January 6, 2021, from the perspective of law enforcement officer Michael Letts.
Well, we know what they're looking to do. The charge that he is talking about is related to January the 6th, and we have a lot of issues with that. First of all, of course, they declare it to be a insurgency, domestic terrorism. My first comment is I have to laugh. If that was an insurgency, that's the worst planned insurgency I've ever seen in history. Insurgencies usually involve force, i.e. weapons, and, bloodshed. There's none of that there. There were some people, without a doubt, who were vandalizing, harassing some of the law enforcement individuals. But quite frankly, when you look at it, if you've been to the Capitol, I've been there many times, been many times to the White House. You look at the Capitol, it is one of the most secure facilities in the world. Those doors to go into the Capitol weigh 20,000 pounds apiece. They can only be opened by electronic operation. They can't be opened from the outside. Somebody had to open those doors. Couldn't have been a stranger because you wouldn't know the access code to be able to bypass it to go into them. So they were open for a reason. We have on video the officers were motioning people in. So yes, there were some that took advantage of that situation and tried to create havoc, broke things, stole things, but it was not an insurgency. So you take that. Why is that so important, that word, insurgency? Because they're going under the 14th Amendment. If they can find cause that you were involved in an insurgency against the United States government, you're barred from ever holding office. Or if you're in office, you're removed. Well, they're so scared of Trump. Everything they've done has backfired. Instead of actually causing him to go down in the polls or for people to fear about what the future would hold, his numbers have risen dramatically. And he is probably, without a doubt, the lead contender for the nomination for the Republican Party. And the numbers are showing that he's the lead contender in the general election to win the presidency. So because of that, they have to do everything in their power to stop him. They've used other charges that didn't stick, or they held no ill effect on his popularity. So the only thing they can do now is get him off the ballot. So that is why they're moving forward with those charges. They are imminent. I'm confident that they'll file them. But for them to be able to prove that is simply mind-boggling. And here you ask the question, how do officers respond? Well, we realize that it is a political issue being involved. It's been being done for nefarious purposes to further an agenda or further a cause. It's not the matter of criminality. We feel like we're being used. We feel like we're being put in a political sandstorm. And they don't care about the officers. They only care about their objective of politics. And quite frankly, that's wrong, without question. And it infuriates our law enforcement community to be used as pawns to be able to advance a liberal socialistic agenda. So that's why when we hear this coming, it frustrates us, because we see just more and more politics. And it's not just this issue. You look at the Justice Department, it has been politicized, weaponized. The FBI the same way. Not just politicized and weaponized, but it's gotten to the point to where these agencies are committing felonies. And understand, this is the top law enforcement agencies in the country. The point being, so if they're doing nefarious things, illegal things, felonious things, who do you go to report them? Because they're the very top. Well, the answer to that is what the Constitution provides for. And that's a military tribunal. That's a scary thought. But right now, that's where we're at, because these agencies have been overtaken by politics. And what a shame. We never thought we'd see that day in this country. But we're living it. And I tell people all across the country, you can't bury your head in the sand. We're living in these times now. This is what's occurring. We either have to unite, take action, and restore freedom and liberty and justice, because we have a two-tiered justice system. and restore true freedom and justice to this country, or we're going to lose what we have left. We'll be a third-rate country. We'll be run by tyranny, by dictatorship, and there won't be a need for elections because they've already rigged those. That is not what our vision and our forefathers had when they created this country 250 years ago. It's not our vision as of today, and I urge every American to say enough is enough. We will not lose this country that so much blood has been spilled and shed for over the years, so many wars. We're going to maintain our freedom and our liberties.
In the last 36 hours, there's been what appears to be an insurrection in the African nation of Niger, where members of the armed forces command structure have staged what they call an overthrow of a legitimate elected government and the president. And they've used weapons in order to do that. Would you say then, if I understand you correctly, that a situation like that country would be in sharp contrast to what happened on January 6th?
I think you have it exactly correct, because, an insurgency has one purpose in mind, and that is determined to remove a government and replace it with another. And they will do it whatever cost. So you are stupid. I'm just going to use that word. You're stupid if you're planning an insurgency. Just walk in with a can of mace and think you're going to overtake one of the most powerful countries in the world. It's totally ludicrous. They know it. We know it. And we know they're using it for political reasons and shit.
You've explained to me already somewhat how you feel as a veteran law enforcement officer to see police people used in a political action. What do you feel can be done to separate more sharply between political action and pure law enforcement?
Well, here's what's interesting if you begin to analyze the facts. City, state law enforcement are separate, are different than federal law enforcement. The feds are trying, and this is a well thought out agenda. This is not by happenstance in any means. This has been planned and orchestrated for some time. They have put together a campaign to make city and state law enforcement look like they're racist, they're incompetent, they can't do the job. The only people that can save this country are the feds. The feds have already said how they're going to save it. They have said, how do I back up what I just said? Black Lives Matters is a partnership with this administration. We know that. Funded by George Soros, so is Antifa. And what they did with those organizations is they created riots. You saw them. We saw them, George Floyd and others. And those riots were very violent. There was looting. There was death caused. There was fire set. And what did they do? They watched, the media showed those images. Then they turned around and showed an image of law enforcement just standing there. To give you the impression, what a bunch of baboons, what a bunch of idiots. They can't contain, they can't do the job. But the fact of the matter is they have been ordered by their law enforcement officials, not really by just the law enforcement officials, but by the elected officials, their mayors, their city councils, to stand down. And most of these were in very Democratic-run logistics, Democratic-run cities. They were ordered to stand down. Imagine how that made those law enforcement officers feel. They're trained to protect. They're trained to keep this from happening, and they're not allowed to do their job. But anyway, they took those images, created the fact that, hey, law enforcement just can't do the job. They're racist. They're incompetent. And so they went to the next stage to defund the police movement. Why would you fund them if they can't do their job? Then they began to circulate. When that happened, of course, the logical next conclusion was violent crime began to rise. We have a tremendous spike occurring in violent crime all across the country.
This conversation with Michael Letts will end on tomorrow's broadcast. For further information, call us at 860-346-1049, 860-346-1049, or visit WIHSradio.org, WIHSradio.org. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily those of the staff or management of the station. I'm Paul Kretschmer for the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from 104.9 WIHS.